Good evening. Welcome to the Diablo 3 podcast. I'm your host, Flux, and we are online at diabloii.net. I am joined on the show tonight by Nerdwards.
Hello.
And a returning guest. He's been gone for a few months. Pugacorn.
Hey, it's Tyr. Good to be back.
It's Tyr. And he's got a delightful avatar, which is a pug with a unicorn, with a cornicorn.
A cornicorn?
It's pretty glorious, actually.
Isn't it great?
I think it's fantastic, yeah.
It's just a shame that it's not in like the end of the Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Maybe Deadpool 2. So we are talking about some recent play stuff tonight and find out where Tyr has been and why he makes Jay Wilson a very sad puppy, and some more recent play stuff. I spent a bunch of time playing last week because I'm not going to be playing basically at all for the rest of the month. Well, okay, rest of the month is about an hour from now. In March, I'm going to have very little playtime because I'm working lots and lots of days. So I've been splurging and getting into some higher level stuff that I should have done last season when I didn't have any playtime either. And Nerdwards is going to tell us why he's hit GR97 as the greatest wizard on Earth. You've got about half an hour to do that, so you better start pushing right now, dude.
Okay, got it.
And you'll hear a lot of clicking sounds from Nerdwards into the phone for the next few minutes. And also augmenting gear and some other stuff. And then we're going to do a little bit more of the reviewing podcast. We were doing that for episode 200, and then basically it all got pushed into 201, and we talked about the highlights of 1 through 100 back in the days. And I made some intemperate remarks about Blizzard PR, and I was caught up in the heat of the moment with a little bit too much Grenache, so let's all try and forgive and forget, shall we?
Spoiler alert, they're all great.
Spoiler alert, they're all great. So we're talking a little bit about some more of the archives, but we're not going to go through every show forever. And the ones we're talking about this time was from like July 2013 to the end of the year. And that was, of course, when Reaper of Souls was revealed, and then beta tests began, and BlizzCon, and there's just like tons and tons of major news stuff.
Yeah.
From roughly 2 years ago, so that we could do the entire podcast just regurgitating our own feces. Does that work? I think that was a South Park episode. Anyway,
sure.
So you haven't been on the show for a while, Tyr. What have you been up to? Are you playing Season 5? Do you make Jay Wilson a sad puppy? What's your problem?
I am playing Season 5. I don't know what makes Jay Wilson a sad puppy. Probably sales numbers are in there someplace.
I think Sunday night on Facebook is what makes Jay Wilson a sad puppy.
Yeah, you might be right. But no, I've been playing a little bit. I am taking a different tack this season. I was kind of pushing leaderboards and things like that, and in my infinite disease that I must collect all the things, I have an obsession with set dungeons. So I'm not...
Wait, you like set dungeons?
I don't like them, Flux. I like the thing you get from them. That's my problem, and it has been forever. So I'm kind of pushing more to lightly gear and play each of these character classes and try to collect a set so that I can get them wings. But that's pretty much all I've been up to. I'm on my most played character, who's a Thorns Crusader. I'm pushing, 65, which is bad, but it's fine. I got to get them wings,
It ain't that
So how many of the set dungeons have you completed? You have to do 24 to get the whole thing?
I did so I've been farming for the characters and the gear first, and then I'm going to push through and try to get them. So I've completed
You're like,
8
I've done
of
Akans.
You're
like, I've done one dungeon. I'm almost
right.
there, though.
Yeah, no, I've done...
4% achievement unlocked.
I've done 8 of them, which is not too shabby, actually, I think. It's going to take quite a while to finish them all, but I'm almost at the point now where I've got a full set of everything that's not awful. I'm working on Monk. Trying to collect his stuff up, but once I'm done with that, I think I'll run through each of them in turn.
I honestly don't even know. It's like green wings that look like they're kind of like metallic looking.
Yeah, they're like gears or something. I don't know what they are. I don't think Blizzard knows what they are. They're just a thing that they invented.
What do you get for finishing the whole season journey this time?
Oh, gosh. That's my other problem, is I definitely haven't looked at that stuff, being as I'm not playing as much on a focused character, and some of that stuff is pretty tough to get.
I think it's just a portrait frame this time.
Is it?
I'll double check. Hang on.
Yeah,
it's just EPing, right?
Right. They try to give you the big stuff up front, so you don't feel like you have to play 1,000 hours to get everything. But
well, what is it? There's a conquest for set dungeons, right? If you do like 12 of them or something,
8.
Or 8.
You have to do 8. Yeah.
So you've got that conquest at least.
Mm-hmm.
Because the funny part is, lately in the hardcore clan that I'm in, is people keep going and playing softcore for like a week just to get the Avarita conquest.
To get a third conquest, yeah.
To get the third conquest to finish the seasonal journey. They're like they will play These are dedicated hardcore players. Haven't played softcore in like 3 years. They will go play softcore for a week rather than doing 8 set dungeons. That's how much people hate set dungeons.
You want to know something?
I'm actually impressed that you've done 8 of them at this point.
You want to know something depressing? Last season, at the end of the season, I was like, man, I got to get that Avaricia achievement. Like, when I did it on Demon Hunter, I was like, all right, I got to collect up this gear, get this stuff ready, and I did it, and I hit 50 million, on the counter, and then I'm just like, where's my achievement? And literally, no lie, that was the last time I played Season 4. I was done.
But I'm just amused at people. I mean, imagine if you had to go play hardcore for a week with like a Crusader Nerdwards to get an achievement.
That's actually what I'm going to be doing.
And you would rather do that than try to do set dungeons.
I've already got my wizard to level 70 on hardcore. I'm just going to get the Avarice achievement instead of doing set dungeons.
Right.
Well, I would rather play a hardcore wizard than any other class.
Yeah, I'm also too stubborn to do myself any favors, so I'm like, yeah, I'll get that. I'll get that on hardcore.
Yeah, I've got all the wizard ones done, but I don't care. I'm not going to play another class to do the set dungeons once I realized the last time I did the podcast and Muggs woke me up to the fact that I didn't have to do that achievement, I could just go to hardcore and do an easy achievement. I was like, oh man, that's such a better idea. So I'm just doing that. I'm doing the opposite. I'm going to hardcore to get that little easy achievement to finish my journey.
Right.
Well, it's not that hard to get. Obviously, you got to get a guild of bear.
Plus, I might actually be able to play with my friends that play this game that aren't real life friends. So it'd be nice. I could actually play with you guys.
I mean, people did it back in Season 2. It's not hard to do.
Yeah, all you get is a portrait frame. That's it. It's
right.
It's cool though. But
it's cool.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered with it. I don't even care about seasonal draw. I haven't even finished the second conquest yet.
I think if there is still a conspiracy that Blizzard is paying out for this podcast, I think Nerdwards just proved it by saying you just get a portrait frame. It is cool though.
Is it a shiny portrait frame?
No, but it has like a little skull deal on it. Hang on, it actually looks kind of neat. It's like
finally a skull in Diablo.
It looks like it kind of looks like Andariel's like visage, like on top of your head with like this like turquoise thing. I don't know. It's neat. It looks cool. Someone took a second for it. Like, they did something for a minute in a thing, and now it exists. But I have to have it, so whatever.
Just make fun of the people, like the poor intern who has to do portrait frames. just like, yeah, he comes in and he's like, what do I get to do today, guys? And he's hoping that they're going to be like, help us build this boss, or, design this new area. And they're like, we need a portrait frame. We need a portrait frame with a Murloc on it. See what you can whip up.
Yeah.
Also, coffee, please.
Sadly, I think their actual artists do those things because people like them. I mean,
no, it looks
other
awesome.
podcasts.
I really do think it looks cool.
Yeah, I'm joking. As an artist myself, some of them are really legit cool, but still.
Is there a Pugacorn frame? Imagine that one.
No,
if you could, upload your
what's up? Like, come on, guys. Get on this bandwagon.
That seems like an item they would have in like a Path of Exile. It'd be like a Pugacorn helm, and you'd actually look like a pug with a unicorn horn.
Yeah, pugs
you should contact Chris Wilson about that.
In the realm of the funny internet animals, pugs are climbing the ranks. I mean, they're getting up there with donkeys.
They're right behind corgis.
Yeah.
They can't climb a flight of stairs, but they can climb the ranks, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, they can. They do that front back bounce thing.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty sad.
And then face plant.
So, Nerdwards, you haven't done a whole lot of... You've just been grinding a little bit. You said you're not pushing yet. What's your recent play?
We were talking about it a minute ago. I'm like the worst person to do the recent play thing every week because I'm really just always doing the same thing. So I still haven't pushed with the wizard. I think I've pushed as high as like 78, but I haven't really tried. And I just hit Paragon like 8:15 or 16, I think. No. Yeah. 8:13. But yeah, it's just... the struggle. I just haven't had a lot of time to play. I've been grinding out when I have had time to play, just doing more greater rifts, getting more Paragon, and just getting as high as I possibly can, and I'll wait till the last week or two to really, really try to push solo.
I feel like this season...
I'm looking forward...
Go ahead.
I'm looking forward to your tragic hardcore wizard story in a couple of weeks. So.
That's going to be fun, because once I get settled in my new place, that's what I'm going to be doing, is just focusing on the hardcore wizard for a couple days to get her like up there and fucking shit up, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
You know that if you die in hardcore, you're done, right? That's like a thing.
No, I still keep my Paragon, so screw it.
It's not a repair expense. You have to like start a new character.
I made it to 70, motherfucker.
Yeah, level 70, great.
I did it like solo. I did it. I did the deed.
Also, Flux, you're not arguing for much at this point when it takes about 25 minutes to level to 70
right?
in hardcore.
Exactly.
Well, if you've got a gym of ease, etc., of course, but he was doing it from scratch.
Right.
First character in hardcore. Actually, I had Dead One last season too, but I actually leveled my first character. I power level anymore, but
Congratulations.
Shut up, man.
You've never felt so alive.
I was trying to live up to the name Flux. Come on.
Did you almost die at any point? And you were like, "Oh wait, this actually matters
really,
now."
No.
Like, oh shit.
No, but I built like super defensively. It wasn't really. I've leveled a wizard enough. I've leveled enough wizards to know how to level a wizard.
Yeah, you do seasons, so it's not the first time you've started over again since the game launched.
And I literally have however many wizards you could possibly have on one account.
All of them.
There you go. All of them.
Oh, you have all the wizards.
I have all the wizards.
So, a couple of random thoughts. Something we were just mentioning. I lost track. Something we were just talking about was something I was going to get into later. And the conquests. Have you guys done the clear a level 45 GR without any set gear on?
No.
That's obviously one of the easier conquests.
Yeah, I have.
So I was trying that. I've only done one conquest, which was the default. The 50 million gold. When you just get that by accident when you're playing in a high level.
Yeah.
But I need to get another one at least to get the extra inventory tab. I still do not have that. I've been sitting at 5 of 6 on that for like a month and a half, so I've never bothered doing other conquests. And so I hadn't really planned on it. I just thought, I'll just try it. Take off my set stuff and keep using... I was playing with my cluster arrow, my Marauders Demon Hunter. And of course you can't use Marauders, but the cluster arrow, that new legendary bow, is got super damage buff to cluster arrow, and of course it also reduces the cost. I'm like, I'll try this. It can't be that hard. And I put on I took off all my set stuff and tried that, and I had some decent general unique rings and such, but I don't have damage. I was like halfway through the rift, and I was like 2 minutes behind the pace, and I wasn't having any problem staying alive. I just couldn't kill fast enough, and it just felt weird having such crappy damage.
Yeah,
and I thought,
right.
Well, why am I not using Cinder Coat and Mage Fists and whatever?
Yep.
So I just hadn't planned out and gotten a fire build and stuff. And so I've actually been saving that gear the last week or so. I haven't had a chance to go in and try it again. But we were talking about that in clan chat, and some guy's like, yeah, I just put my Legacy of Nightmares on. It was really easy. I'm like, wait, what? So can you use Legacy of Nightmares, which is, of course, a pair of set rings?
I didn't think you could.
I didn't think you could either, but the guy's like, yeah, I did that way this season, so I get to try it. I mean, obviously it doesn't tell you until you actually do it, if you get the achievement or not. But
that's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't think you could.
I would certainly hope not.
Wait,
Here's
no.
the crazy thing. My initial impression was, yeah, why not?
No, yeah, I think you can actually, because it's not. It's supposed to be. It's specific sets. It's not any set. It says in the list, and it's just like the class sets.
Right.
I think that's actually right.
Yeah.
That's bullshit, dude. Seriously.
I think I actually did it with focus and restraint, unless I'm retarded. I don't know. Let me look.
When you think about it, I mean, come on. The whole idea behind Legacy of Nightmares was the no set. Like if you don't want to have a set, put on Legacy and you're good to go.
But there's like green letters when you wear it, and the whole description for the conquest says no set items. It doesn't even say no set bonuses. It says no set items. Like none at all. But then apparently that only counts for some sets.
I don't
know.
Some
sets are for the other sets.
I don't remember. I did it so long ago now, and it wasn't even that long. It was like a month ago. I don't remember. God.
And of course you don't. It's not like you can gear up and it says you are now eligible to finish this conquest.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta just do it and then you find out.
I'm gonna read the achievement though once Diablo loads. Jeez.
Read the conquest. But the other thing that reminded me of is I was looking at. We were talking about the the augmenting gear. The eighth cube recipe they just added last season. And, of course, that's what everyone does now when you're getting your ancient gear and you're burning your legendary gem on it. And the description just says, get any 3 of these flawless royal gems and your legendary gem of 30, 40, or 50, depending on the item type. Like, it doesn't tell you what it actually does. I guarantee you someone has done this with, like, rubies and then wondered why they had a strength bonus on their weapon now.
Yeah.
Because the description doesn't say the color of gem you use determines the type of stat bonus you get.
Right.
It just says use 3 of these. And so we had some guy in chat last night who was like, "Oh man, I just got my gem to 41, but I can't use it now for the augmentation because it only says 30, 40, or 50 in the hover text." And we're like, "No, dude, it's just 5 stat per level. You can go higher." He's like, "What? It doesn't say that." And I'm thinking, I bet someone has done the wrong kind of gems and put like vitality on their helmet. And we're like, "Wait, what? Where's my resistance? Where's my dexterity?" Right?
Yeah, no, I whenever...
Did you almost screw that up the first time not realizing it, or...?
No, but I didn't do it for the longest time because I didn't realize it. Like, for the longest time, I thought it was 3 of each gem because I'm ridiculous. So I didn't I just sat there just like grinding and like saving up materials because I didn't think I had enough to do it. I was like, I don't have enough gems for this, so whatever. and then like I've saved up enough, and I was finally like, okay, I think I have enough now. I'm gonna go ahead and try. And I like did like all of my amethysts or whatever. And then somebody was like, wait, what are you doing? And I like said out loud what I was doing, and my friends were like, wait, you know you only got to do the one for the stat you want, right? And I was like, oh, how am I that special right now?
Because it doesn't say. There's like no information.
I
in the
played
hover
this game
tab.
every day and have for 3 years, and I screwed it up. So I'm sure someone. I mean, maybe I'm just special. I don't know.
But I mean, imagine if you were like not playing a ton and you grinding and grinding, you finally get a legendary gem to 50, and you're like, oh, I can finally do my ancient chest piece. But you don't realize that you're going to put the wrong stat on it because you only happen to have 3 rubies and you're playing a wizard or something.
Yeah.
Because usually you end up with a ton of the gems that aren't your type, you know?
Yeah.
Because obviously you're using the ones that are your type.
Yep.
I mean, it's not such a big deal now. You can just convert gems, 9 of a gem to some other gem type.
Yeah.
Right.
And I have like 50 flawless royal emeralds now because I just racked all my topaz and rubies into them. Because, why not, right? I'm not using the other classes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure someone's effed that up at some point and just like, I would set on fire the Blizzard tech support forum. If I did the wrong one, I was like a noob, but didn't understand it. I'd be like, I want a new fucking legendary gem. You rip me off. You didn't tell
Flux.
me.
I
have not done it, but I just assumed it was emeralds. I'm like, this better be emeralds. It doesn't say, but color coding.
Do you guys think?
Yeah, it is funny.
That's a fun question. Do you guys think this game is really bizarrely opaque to people from the outside? Do you think if somebody like who just loved Minecraft and cracked open a copy of D3 now,
they'd be so fun.
They would have no clue, right? Like, what do I do?
Like, Diablo 2 Classic, everything
man.
explained. There's so much.
Yeah, like when they did the revamp in Reaper, it became a lot easier to comprehend and understand, and then it has gotten significantly more convoluted since then. But I think that's a good thing, kind of. Like when someone new comes back, I mean, I'm sure you guys have tried to play with someone new who's come back and like tried to explain to them, okay, so when's the last time you played? And like the last time they played was like Reaper before like sets mattered, and you're like, oh my god,
what's a legendary gem?
Yeah, like what's a legendary gem? What are rifts? What's adventure mode? What class sets are worth something? I thought, what about blackthorns? Like, and you're just like, oh my god, I forgot these things used to be things.
Yeah, I think they'd be fine. They'd be fine playing up to 70, and I think once you hit 70, it would be a complete shitstorm. You'd have no clue.
You'd have to have a friend. You'd have to have somebody.
Because your friend would be running GR80, and you'd be like, I can't kill anything on Master Mode.
Yeah, they'd be like, how the hell do I get there? What do I do to do that? Like, that's what I want. All right, brand new player, never played a Diablo game in their life. I want that filmed and someone to do it. I want to see
the video series, that would be the best.
Yeah.
Well, I think brand new would be okay because you wouldn't have any false print. You just wouldn't know anything,
I think
it'd be a blank slate.
I still think that would be challenging, like, to figure out, like, as much. I mean, there's a lot of stuff at the end of this game that, like, if you really got into, like, end game stuff, I think most people would just fizzle out before they got that far.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for someone to make a Wyatt Chang's grandmother beta tester joke here, but I guess I'll have to do it.
Well, there you go.
That was the whole D2 Classic, leading up to the game. They're like, I think at different points, Wyatt Chang literally said my grandmother couldn't do something, and Bashiok said my mother could. Maybe I'm mixing up which maternal relation it was for who. But somebody said their grandmother, somebody said their mother, like, died to the zombies outside Tristram, didn't understand what they were supposed to do next.
Mama jokes. Like Blizzard
and they're trying to make it, like, simpler. Yeah, I mean, obviously you want the game, a minute to learn, a lifetime to master, all that stuff that Blizzard says, but you can have to assume that someone knows how to use a mouse and, like, click an object.
Right.
And
read,
they're not going to be...
You know what I think it is to me? The big thing is the stat, not the stat weights, but the values of each individual stat. Because there are certain things... When I first started playing D3 Vanilla... I remember hitting endgame and going online and looking up information about, what stats were best to run on my really crappy barbarian using Echoing Fury. And I was like, wait, you want me to stack critical damage? Like, that seemed weird to me at the time. I was like, crit? Why? And so I think there's a problem when you hit max level and all of a sudden... people are like, oh yeah, you need all resistance. Like, okay, well that makes sense. Then you need, on your Thorns Crusader, you got to have a lot of Thorns and 0 crit. And it's just like they never explain what the value of this stuff is beyond. I think they said at one point on a hint that emeralds give you 130% crit chance, and it's a big damage buff.
Yeah, it's like a socket in your weapon can be very powerful.
You know,
like,
but it doesn't give you any clue. You know, what am I doing?
I remember at the start of this season, there were people who were coming back and hadn't played for a while, and there were multiple times people in the clan chat were like, I can't find any Nephalem Rift keys. How do you find them? I want to do some rifts. And we're like, those don't drop in the game anymore. You can just do rifts anytime you want. They're like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, that only changed like a season ago, you know? I mean, you just have to find... Used to be it was like really hard to get into rifts because you had to get up and start killing bosses to drop... Actually, I don't know the whole... it was great. Yeah, it was greater rift keys. Someone had to drop regular rift keys, though.
Yeah, you got them from bounties.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Bounty bags.
You had to run bounties to be able to do rifts.
God, I've totally forgotten that. So, yeah, people kept doing bounties at the start of this season and saying, I can't get any rift keys. I want to do some rifts.
By the way, I'd like to highlight just how amazing it is that we're laughing about that now, because we could still be in that and it would be horrible.
Oh, it'd be so bad.
Well, as I've been reviewing all these old podcasts, you're seeing Realm of Trials and stuff. It's like, oh my God, no.
Oh my God, yeah, Realm, shoot.
I want them to do that. I want that to be the next Easter egg for Blizzard when they do a Diablo 3 expansion 2, and instead of a cow level, there's the Realm of Trials, and it's like a large courtroom with like powdered wig justices that you blow up using magic. I think that'd be pretty good. The Realm of Trials. No? All right, whatever.
And the head boss is named Scalia. Okay, a couple of other random stuff. Have you noticed Nephalem Valor either stacks or doesn't stack, and I can't figure out why or why not anymore? It used to go to 3 stacks.
Yeah.
You get those little yellow orbs, and you go to 3 stacks.
Oh, you're talking about the globes. Never mind.
Yeah, the yellow globes give you the Nephalem Valor now.
Yeah.
Which used to be the thing you got from killing elites and stuff.
Yeah.
And that came over from the console. And it used to be like level 1 did nothing, and like level 2 made you run a little faster. Level 3 gave you like damage bonus and little streaky lights.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm always just at level 1 now. They just refresh the same level. But a couple of times I have noticed I'm at level 3, and I can't figure out if it's a game mode or if it's only in greater rifts. Like, I keep forgetting to check it carefully.
I wonder if it's maybe
I think you
now
get them at a certain pace. Once you get into a groove and you're killing at a certain pace and you get enough globes in succession, that's when it starts building up for you. But it takes a while to get 3.
I feel like what they may have changed is that they may have made it before where you could, if you collected enough health globes, you'd bump up to the next level. As opposed to just refreshing your duration. But I think now you actually need to pick up the white globes, and that's the only way to go up.
I've had several times where I've had literally 2 or 3 of those on the same screen, and I get them all, and I'm still just at level 1.
Oh, wow.
And it just refreshes it to full timer.
Huh.
Like, I've had 2, like 10 feet apart, like the same boss pack drops 2. But then I'll forget, I'm like, oh, it doesn't work anymore. And the next time I look, I'll be at 3 stacks again. And I just can't, I don't know, obviously I'm not really like min-maxing my yellow globe consumption. I'm doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like then I just look. I'm like, why am I always level 1 on this now? And I can't figure out if it's only in GRs or not in GRs. And obviously you guys haven't noticed it that carefully either, except that something's changing about it, and it makes me kind of funny.
Well, here's the thing. I never really felt like they had a huge impact on my play.
But you get little streaky lights when you run fast.
Yeah, but like, has there ever been a point where you're intentionally? I think the last time I cared about them, weren't they in vanilla? And they were what you got as an experience buff, and a couple other things.
Dude, you're doing every class in the game to get a pair of green wings.
No, right?
You're criticizing my Nephalem globe counts.
But I'm saying, like, I haven't cared about. I don't think since Reaper dropped I've cared about those globes at all. Like, they could be there, they could not be. I haven't
either.
Care.
I just kept noticing that I'm always at level 1 now instead of level 3 when I used to be, and I can't figure out why that's happening.
Yeah, I don't have an answer either. I don't know, man.
Now when you go play later, you'll be obsessing over that. Like, why am I not going up in levels? What's happening here?
I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah, it used to be each yellow globe got you another level higher, and red globes were like 3 or 5 seconds of restoring the time.
Yeah.
But you could get to 3 stacks and stay there for a long time now. And I've been doing all these like speed runs where I'm doing T10 rifts in like 3 minutes. You get a lot of damn globes,
True.
So I don't know why that I'm not. I've gotten to GR70 now in hardcore this season. You're getting a lot of globes, and you're going through these things pretty quickly. But it just, as you say, it doesn't really matter. I've been noticing that's not working right, and it's making me wonder what's happening.
There are people screaming at their iPhones right now.
Yeah, they're like, we know what it is. Why aren't you paying attention? Okay, speaking of streaming at your iPhone, is pets picking up gold like the best QOL thing in the history of Diablo 3?
It's pretty good, yeah. I wish I had more pets as a wizard, but yes, it's pretty good.
Well, I'm playing a Marauder's Demon Hunter, so I'm pretty much enjoying it. I have ferrets full time, but I mean, yeah, even the virtual pet, the seasonal journey bonus pet.
I think this may be the part of, or the big reason why no one understands Blizzard's insistence that they want you to pick things up, because every time they add something that automatically picks things up, you're just elated. There's never been a time when they've added an auto pickup and I've been like, aw, bummer.
What would you do for a pet that picked up crafting materials automatically?
Yeah, like every time it's just the best thing they've ever implemented, so why not do more?
Would you kiss Jay Wilson for a pet that gave you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd kiss Jay Wilson just anyway.
Assuming he's still alive. Would you kiss former Justice Scalia at this point?
No, probably. I mean, he's
but
probably
you blow him up in a powdered wig and a bonus level. Then.
Oh, heck yeah.
Like a secret hunting society in the Texas Lodge.
Yeah,
that'd be sweet.
Antonin and Scalia. Because I don't know how his name is actually pronounced.
Exactly. Fat Tony, that's how it's pronounced. So one other thing I had was the augmenting of gear, and I've been really doing a lot of that this week now. I mean, previously, obviously we had ancient items in the game for several patches, and they used to be kind of cool, except we'd always joke about, obviously weapons were immediately mandatory ancient.
Oh, yeah.
And then, armor was pretty good. You get a nice bonus to your main stat and your vitality and, maybe your res-all, but it wasn't like that big a deal. It wasn't like a make or break.
Yeah.
And then rings, it was like a joke, It's like, ooh, I have 117 more main stat. Woo! And now, of course, there's augmentation. This came out in Season 4, but I played like 5 minutes of last season because I had to work in real life, so it sucks. So those of you who've been doing this for 6 months, apologies. But it's just super obvious now that you absolutely have to have everything ancient because you get to stack like 300 to 500 more main stat on every single item that has ancient.
Yeah.
And so, I've been giving up. I get. Obviously, you want Dex Vitality for a Demon Hunter anyway. You want Dex Vitality and Res-all on most of your armor, and then your fourth stat is usually Socket or whatever. But now it's like I keep getting these really good items that aren't ancient, and then you get an ancient one, and it's Dex, Defense, and Fire Resistance. You're like, well, maybe I can augment it, but do you want to sink a level 60 or 70 gem into that, and then a day later you find the perfect ancient one, and you're like, okay, that was a total waste.
I have to say, and this is maybe a little bit of salt here, but I was worried, when I was at BlizzCon and they announced augmentation about the grind. And that worry has borne itself out. The grind is real. It is pretty impressive. And yeah, it makes for those awkward choices where it's like, okay, well, I have this really well itemized, whatever the heck it is, weapon, or I've got the legendary or the ancient version of it, and it's got real crap stats on it. So I'm not thrilled with the idea of going through, so I'm not putting all my time into that for sure. Maybe one of the reasons why I'm going through and doing alternate character conquests, because I just don't want to put the time in.
But you don't need that to do set dungeons,
No, and that's
like T2.
And that's great, and that's one of the reasons, like I said, why I'm doing those instead. But I mean,
finally, something good about set dungeons.
Right. The grind is just.
It only took us 14 podcasts this season. We finally got a good thing about set dungeons.
We finally found it. Yep, got to get them wings, but yeah, it's a bummer that, they really have a problem right now. I'm not going to say that they screwed something up, but they really have a problem right now with people having to put in so much time to make this game tick for them, to really feel like they're being competitive. And it bothers me a little bit, but whatever.
So have you augmented everything now, Nerdwards? Is everything ancient and augmented?
No, and that's what makes me sad. Okay, so I'm totally...
See, it makes him sad.
It makes me really sad, and it does, but it's because, I always have this damn problem where there's, one fucking item I can't get ancient. This season it's 2 items. Actually, no, 3 items that I'm full ancient, augmented on every piece. But because I don't have an ancient APD or an ancient Delsair's helmet or an ancient Shame of Delsair's belt, I can't augment them, so I'm missing out on almost 1,000 main stat. Actually, it'd be over 1,000 main. It'd be almost 1,300 main stat because I've been doing level 70s. So it's it sucks. But I mean, it's at the same time, I'm still incredibly powerful, and it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But it's frustrating for you like to collect all the things. I like to be as optimized as possible, and I can't until I get an ancient one, and I haven't found an ancient one, so I can't. It sucks. If I could at least augment non-ancients, that would be cool, and at least make me meet the difference, when I don't have an ancient. It would help. But not being able to augment non-ancients kind of makes it more of a disparity.
Do you have ancient everything in the sets you're not using on your character? and you can't get it in the ones you are using?
Yeah.
That is totally my problem.
Yeah, I get ancient fucking everything. Like, I have full ancient Firebirds, I have full ancient Taurashas, which I use for my farming set, but I'm missing, like, my helmet for Delcers, and I'm like, what the really?
Do you have ancient sages for your switching gear, for your DB?
Actually, yeah, but you can craft those, so that's really easy to get.
Yeah, it'll take us long.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is I've been grinding a lot, but I haven't grinded bounties yet, and I've been saving, like, a lot of APDs and belts and stuff to be able to re-roll them into ancient, so I'll eventually get there. I just got to sit down and, like, spend a weekend and grind bounties to do that.
Right. You know, the sad thing about this is I think that they definitely implemented the must-be ancient for gem upgrades as a quality of life consideration. They were trying to keep you from having to
making that mistake,
re-upgrade stuff, you know.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing, though, is if I found an ancient one, all I would do is use the one I'm currently using until I was able to augment that other piece and then use that piece. So, I mean, and that just means I'm doing what, like another 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 or 15 or whatever greater rifts I'm doing that anyway to grind levels, so.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me, but I do understand that it does incentivize the grind way more, and that's not cool for most people. I just am an addict to this game, so it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
And your bot runs all night while you're at work.
I wish. I need to invest.
Just racks up all your. Yeah, I wanted to play yesterday. I wanted to do some more GRs, and I had 2 rift keys. I'm like, well, shit. If I had a bot, I'd have like 100 rift keys right now, and I could just go in and do greater rifts and wouldn't have to waste time running frickin' bounties or something. You know?
Will it get me kicked off the podcast if I say I very, very nearly installed one? Like, I didn't actually do it, but I went...
Installed or uninstalled?
Installed. I went to Google.
Oh, you don't have one already?
And I was like, I need this. And then I looked at it, and then I looked at the terms of service, and then I just closed the browser window.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Proud of you.
It hurts, though. I want that stuff.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, even if people don't use it for like pushing their experience or whatever, just it just picks up all the busy work overnight. You get on in the morning and you've got 100,000 rift keys and you've got all the materials and I mean, I've had times this week I was totally out of Forgotten Souls or totally out of Death Breath because I did a bunch of crafting, and it's like, I have to go play some crappy thing to just build up materials, right?
Yeah, for somebody like me too, where I have an obsession with collecting the best stuff, and my only real barrier to entry on that is time. It's like I'm not the best player in the world, but I'm certainly not the worst. And given the amount of time necessary and a willingness to spend it, as opposed to spend time with my wife or live outside of a cave, I would love to be able to do it.
Gaining time in any game that survives on random numbers generator is like the goal, right? Like that's the reason why you do efficient runs. It's the reason why you trim down on all your downtime. It's the there's a reason why that these methods come out, and the best of the best gets to be the best of the best is because the grind, right? And it's all about time-intensive grinding. And if you can grind while not playing, then obviously you won the game. So yeah.
Well, and maybe that's...
Well, they gave us an auction house for that, and you guys threw it away.
Right. Maybe that's the the difference between Diablo and, say, Heroes of the Storm or something like that, is this is built on the old school methodology that
the more you play, the more stuff you have.
Yeah, exactly. The time input was what was hard. Yeah, that was how World of Warcraft was when it first launched. It was hard to be good at WoW because it took forever to get a level 60 and do that.
To spend the time, yeah.
Yeah, and it was this illusion of difficulty because it wasn't difficult. It was just that
time
you had to do it, Mm-hmm. So, and I think this game is unfortunately falling into that trap a little bit.
I like that, though. Like, I think that's what makes Diablo Diablo. I just wish there weren't bots, man.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
You just wish other people weren't able to short-circuit the time thing by cheating. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what always happens. Other people cheat, then it makes you want to cheat. It's like, when someone drives around the highway at 100 miles an hour, you're like, why can't I go 100 miles an hour?
Well, yeah, here's what I would like. I would like there to be a lower time requirement, and for the time requirement not to be circumvented. Those are the two things I want.
I still wish they would cap Paragons in a season. God, that'd make my life so much better.
Yeah.
Or at least for greater rifts, but then, of course, people, say you only get to use 800 Paragon points in a greater rift.
Yeah, that's
above
perfect.
That doesn't help you.
That's perfect. You can still use your augmentation, still use everything else, but just Paragons don't matter. So being Paragon, 2,000 doesn't matter, and then even bots don't matter that much because you're just getting, it's not even that big of a deal.
Right.
But, of course, they'd still have every single piece augmented at level 75 or 80 gems thanks to all their botting, so...
Yeah, but I mean, you could still
at least
get
they would have 1,000. They would have 5,000 more main stats.
Exactly my point. Yeah, like you could still augment, but I could still augment. I could put in the time to do that, but it's the extra 2,000 Paragon levels I'm not going to have this season that some people have. That it's like I can't compete with that. Like there's no way.
Yep. Yeah,
I can augment.
They've cut out sacred cows like that before. So I still have hope that they'll do it, but
yeah, and we still haven't reached the end of the season yet. So I'm holding out hope that they're going to do some sort of something. We'll see though.
I still maintain that it should just be a weekly cap on how much Paragon you can accrue, and maybe, again, if you want to play for enough time to earn 60 Paragon, but they've capped it at 20 for the week, then if you spend 60 Paragon amount of time playing, then you're good for 3 weeks, but you only actually get the increase for a while. That would be my ideal, but I've said
that'd be interesting.
I don't like that. Next topic. We'll be slaughtering some ancient cows in about half an hour when the podcast ends, by the way, so save your moves for that. Sacred cows.
Sacred cows.
So one other thing I wanted to mention here before we got into the review stuff. I can't remember. Any other topics, you guys, or any other recent play stuff or exciting topics you wanted to get in here briefly?
Here's an exciting topic. Blizzard is pretty quiet right now.
Yeah.
And I know that doesn't seem exciting.
We're about PTR time.
But that's actually when Blizzard is probably at its most exciting, because they're never just silent and sitting around and doing nothing. They're always doing something. Yeah. So I'm actually very interested to see what we'll get. And this is pure conjecture, but
and this is supposed to be 3 months too, so we should be getting pretty close to when they're going to start announcing or talking about PTR for the next whatever, which could be nothing or could be something really cool for all we know. But they are incredibly quiet. You're not wrong.
Not a lot of forum action.
You're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of something coming up new, I just remembered my other topic here. A couple of months ago, 6 weeks ago, we had that forum post from Wyatt Chang saying we're not planning any special events this season. We're not just no double materials the first week, because then if you don't get it, then you're hopelessly behind other people. It's not fair early in the season, etc. And we're about 2 weeks from the 4th anniversary of Diablo 3's release.
Yep.
So what do you think they're planning for this special event promotional week that they said they weren't planning anything for in 2 weeks?
I don't know. I don't even want to speculate. I'm over.
Just double goblins? I mean, we want something better than just double goblins for the anniversary, right?
Triple goblins.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they would even do. Because, I mean, they did explicitly say they weren't going to, so I don't think that they will. I really
They said they weren't planning it. They didn't say they had it.
That's true.
We're not.
They did.
Which is why we're joking. Of course they were planning something. We have the 4th anniversary coming up in 2 weeks, so...
Yeah.
Maybe they hadn't really gone to final details about it.
It would be a really opportune time for them to drop double bounty bags. that would give me a really good reason to grind them out soon, because I could use the help.
Yeah. How about a pet, guys?
Yeah.
How exciting is that, right?
Another gold pickup. That's when we get the materials pickup pet for one.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Oh.
And then we'd all love it so much, we'd all bitch, and they have to bring it back permanently.
How salty would it be, though, if it were a thing that they released? It's the materials pickup pet, but you could only get it for the week. And then after that, if you didn't didn't log in to get it, then you were just effed forever.
See, I would love it if they did that, but they would never do that.
They wouldn't. They're not that company, but man,
I would totally be about that, though.
Right?
Well, if they were smart, they'd be like, if you don't get it this week, you can always buy it in our online cash shop for $10. It'd be like World of Warcraft, you can change from an orc to a human or whatever, but it costs you money.
Right.
Change realms. But for some reason, they refuse to monetize Diablo 3, despite every fan asking, why can't we get Stash for Cash?
My current theory on that is that that will come, and if it comes, it will come with an expansion. So if we're looking at expansion 2. If they're ever going to put in some monetization, it's going to be then.
You said you were moving, Nerdwards. Are you moving to Beijing?
I wish. That'd be cool.
Because in that case, you could actually have Stash for Cash.
That would be awesome, actually.
To move a little further than Birmingham, I think. Birmingham, Beijing, pretty close together, right? Like sister cities?
Yeah, really, really close.
More or less. Okay, any final thoughts before we get to some podcast review stuff here?
Negative, Ghost Rider. Okay,
so in the last episode, we took up through 1 through 101. 100 and 101 were interviews I did at BlizzCon. It was after a Blizzard Fanside Summit in the summer of 2013. I interviewed a couple of Josh and Wyatt's. and that was 101, 102. Sorry, 100 and 101, which just happened to work out that way. We didn't plan it to be that. And then we tried to get a Blizzard guy on 102 on 200 last week or 2 weeks ago, and they were like, "Yeah, no more interviews lately." Okay, thanks. Oh, well, by the way, we're hosting an 8-hour live stream next week with somebody else. But that's not an interview, so it doesn't count. Actually, they didn't say that, but I won't be surprised if it happens. Okay, so number 102 was something interesting. July 2013, the whole podcast talking about selling unidentified legendary items, selling and trading them. Can you remember what that was? This is back when we had an auction house, and you couldn't sell unID'd stuff in the auction house, but it was like a third party. You would meet in a game and sell them because, like, maybe it'll be a great roll. Like, people would sell like 5 Echoing Furies, and you had like a 1 in 50 chance of an Echoing Fury having an awesome roll. And so rather than hoping you got the perfect one, if you got a good one, you could sell it for $200.
Right.
And a crappy one was worthless.
Yeah.
And so people started selling unidentified ones, hoping. And I'm thinking, what if we had unidentified item trading in the game today? I mean, we don't have trading, obviously. We'll get into trading a little bit later. But, everyone's like, why would you even do it? You find so much crap, I've never actually traded in Diablo 3. Sometimes in a multiplayer game, you just drop crap for other people.
Yeah.
Or someone's like, yeah, I want to play Demon Hunter. Could you drop extra Demon Hunter stuff? And they'll start gobbling that up.
Yeah.
Like Nerdwards. Because you're going to give in and join the dark side.
I actually do have a 70 Demon Hunter.
What if you could trade unidentified items right now? Like would that even make a difference? Would you trade to someone else? Like if your friend's playing a Crusader and he's not smart drop finding like wizard stuff and saving it. I don't even know how it would work, right?
Yeah, this sounds like just another great way. Well, all right, let me say 2 things. One, I would love this. I don't know why, but I do this in World of Warcraft with, like, chests, locked chests. I love the weird lottery mechanics. I mean, come on, it's Diablo 3, right? If it's not a lottery, then it's not D3.
Yeah. No, it's that. You're waiting for that loot.
So would it be fun? Yeah. But it would also only widen the gap between, players who stream 24/7 and players who don't, because they would have folks farming for them. And then selling them stuff at a low price or whatever, and maybe they implement some way to stop that, but it just sounds like a great way for you to funnel someone gear.
Well, it's the same thing with the auction house thing, right? It kind of is part of the same conversation because, like, I didn't necessarily want the auction house to go away, but I didn't think it was great for the game either. When they first announced it, I was pretty pissed about it, and then when the game came out, I actually kind of liked it because what it ended up being was I would play Diablo like a lot, like a whole fucking lot, and then I would.
You really? I don't see that you playing the game much.
And then I would take a break, and I would still, instead of play, I would play the auction house. So I would still log in every day, and I would like do stuff. So I was playing 2 different games at 2 different times, and like
one of them much more profitable than the other.
Exactly, and I mean, yeah, I made real life money on that, so that was awesome as well. But I don't know, it was just like. I liked the auction house. I have like positive memories of it, but it being removed was probably was the best thing that happened, I think, to Diablo 3. I kind of do miss that other like market aspect to the game.
Well, we'll get to auction house removal here in about 5 more review podcasts. So save your powder for that one. But one other related thing on trading, of course, we didn't. What trading often became in previous games. There was a post earlier this week, a blue post about making Stone of Jordans be useful again. And I just newsed that up just a little bit while ago today. And, of course, Stone of Jordans were never that useful for using them. I mean, they weren't bad, but it wasn't like the greatest item in the game. But they became useful because they were currency.
Yeah.
So it was funny that, and then eventually, runes became currency, and chipped gems were currency for a while, and all kinds of stuff. But if we had trading in the game today, what would be the currency?
Currency?
If it were possible, it'd be Death Breath.
Well, Death Breath?
Yeah,
Well,
if you could
Inferno
sell
Machine,
it, then
yeah, that would be one.
It would be Death Breath.
Well, in Diablo 2 and in Diablo 2 mostly, it was SoJs at first because SoJs weren't just like SoJs were also the best ring you could have, so everyone wanted at least one SoJ, but.
And they were also the most difficult to find.
Yeah, but then they somehow became currency even so, which was the weirdest part of it. But yeah, no, I think that it would have to be something everyone used. So like. Focus and restraint, or if you were going to go an item, like something, or what does everyone use?
I think it would be materials. I think it'd be
emeralds,
it'd be DBs or souls. Or
the reason I say DBs is specifically because they have the most consistent farming amount. With souls, you can get a random assortment of legendaries as you go, and if you're not running, if you're running in a GR or something like that, you get an unspecified number, especially if you're running a standard Rift. You can end up with 2 or you can end up with 14, depending on the run. So the most consistent currency would have to be DBs, because they only drop off of yellow mobs. So they're what you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you guys remember early on in the auction house, the currency back then was Tomes of Secret.
Yep, I remember.
And, of course, currency was gold, but you would find Tomes of Secret, and those were totally fungible in the auction house.
Yep.
You could sell those. I mean, that's how when I got started in hardcore, that was how we made all our money. You would just go grind along on, what was it? We didn't have tournaments then. It was, Monster Power, right? Monster Power 1 to 10.
Yep.
And you have, Monster Power 2 or 3 with, mediocre gear, and you could just snatch up lots of Tomes of Secret and go sell those in hardcore. They were like $15K a piece in the auction house forever. And you'd sell, 1,000 at a time, and pretty soon you had real gold and you could buy some good items. And it was sort of like you could bootstrap yourself up. So whatever the currency would be, it needs to be something that you can actually find kind of as a new player, and then those are what you sell, and the rich players just don't ever have to bother farming anymore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you'd have to farm it all in D3 once you had some gold. You could just buy the materials. Of course, now we have bots to do that for some people, I guess. Back in the old days, before there was so much botting, you would just buy them. So, I was wondering what would... Of course, I don't know what you would buy with currency, I mean, if someone... you're saying you would... What would you give for your ancient Talrash's helm if you could actually buy that, Nerdwards, I mean, like 10,000 DBs or something, or...
I mean, no, I could find a Talrash's helm faster than it would take me to farm 10,000 DBs.
That wasn't what you said 10 minutes ago, man. You said you'd spent the whole season hunting for him, and you had every other item in the game.
Oh, an ancient one? You didn't say ancient. You just said Talrash's helm.
Oh, yeah, ancient, of course.
Ancient, and it's not Talrash's, it's Delsair's.
Whatever. Got the good stats. I don't play Wizards.
Well,
whatever.
Get it right, son. Anyway, so, no, the...
Talrash's Delsair, same thing.
Talsair's. Anyways.
Yeah, Talsair's. Delrash's.
Delrash's, yeah.
That's actually a build, bruh. Anyways, I got totally sidetracked now. What was I saying?
But you'd pay a lot for one. You've been looking at...
No, actually I would. I'd pay...
How many blood shards have you wasted gambling these
things?
Oh my...
You have no idea. So many. And I don't even get Delsair's helmets through Kadala. She's just a total bitch. I get like everything else. So
Nerdwards went street all of a sudden.
She's a total bitch. But anyway, so the I don't know. I'd probably pay 5, 10. I mean, actually name it, and I'd farm it.
Of course, you would have to farm it. You'd be selling your other crap to other people and then buying their death breath. So it's like the whole system would work its way up.
That's true.
Yeah.
But now, obviously, at the high end, you don't need 100,000 death breaths. The only purpose in having them was just to sell them and to buy something else with them.
Yeah, reroll stats.
You can't use 100,000 death breaths if you're trading your big sale. So it's just that's why virtual economies are weird. Anyway, okay, trading stuff there. The very next episode, 103. Was talking all about the shared Paragon system, which was a new thing back then, which I immediately dubbed the Sharagon system in my love for neologisms. Can you remember back when Paragon levels were individual and how the game would be? I mean, now I don't know if you're doing, everyone else is doing, probably you guys, but obviously you're doing it, Pugacorn, with your 14 different classes trying to get all your set dungeons, because you share your Paragon points. It's just like, it's so easy to make a new class. That was the whole thing forever in Diablo 2, and then early in Diablo 3, people felt kind of locked into their main character because they would get the Paragon points.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I would like to play someone else, but they'll be so weak for like a month, it's not worth the trouble.
Yeah. Well, it was also...
This is very first world problems,
Yeah. I remember very well when the Paragon cap was level 100, and it was all on one character. And I remember that very well because it irritated me very much that I spent a lot of time playing that wizard when it was already at Paragon 100. There was a lot of experience
getting nothing for
not getting, yeah. And I know there's a lot of people that did that, but a lot of people started another character and grinded out another 100 Paragon levels with that character. And some people did an entire account of Paragon 100 characters. And I was like, nah, that's cool. I'm just going to keep playing this one wizard. And yeah, man, I logged a lot of hours on that, and it just... Yeah, lost time.
I love watching you complain about how a system adversely affects your time management and then doing it anyway.
I will. I love this game too much.
Doesn't mean he's happy about it.
But yeah, I'm just not happy about the lost time. I'm okay.
I'm the same way. I think that's just Diablo players pretty much.
Yeah,
they're like,
it's all about time management. We're all crazy people. We have to be grinding and grinding and grinding.
We complained about Realm of Trials for like a year,
and we did it.
Yeah, and it's like, not one Diablo player stopped doing Realm of Trials, but continued playing the game.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
like,
there
was no
same
person.
with regular Rifts. Yeah, no,
Right.
Well, they would stop doing it to go make bitchy forum posts and then go back to doing it again.
Right.
yeah, well, they would just quit. There was
It was kind of an intermission.
Yeah. No, this is fun too. Going through these podcasts because it's just like a litany of all the things that they did to fix the game.
Yeah.
You know, like
To be honest, I wish they still didn't have shared paragons, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was thinking I wouldn't really care that much because I'm only playing a Demon Hunter. I just made a second Demon Hunter because it's easier than just respecking, you know? I mean, we've been joking about how we should have a button to instantly respec your character.
I think it would fundamentally change the entire community element of the game if they had it that way, because you wouldn't see flavor. I mean, you would see flavor of the month, but they'd have to stick with that character because they're 800, 900, 1,000 paragons. We're on their wizard they decided to roll this season instead of their monk they normally play. So they can't fucking cheat the leaderboards by playing one class, grinding, playing the 4-player meta, and then going into their other character to use that grinding and experience and paragon levels and augmentation to supplement that character. It'd be really, really interesting if every character had their own paragon levels and that was it. Because I think that would, I mean, there would be a lot of unhappy people. They would never, ever do that ever, but man, I would love that.
Yeah, it would adversely hurt casual players, you know, because people like me who are like, you know, I don't want to play a Crusader this season. I play Crusader
imagine
every
if you
season,
get your Paragon. Would you be doing what you're doing right now if you didn't have shared Paragon?
Not a chance.
Exactly.
In cold, frigid hell. It would not happen.
But see, I wish they would do that though. But they never would ever.
When the system was first announced, we all thought it would be some sort of like a combination, where like you know, each character would have their own Paragon levels, and like half your total experience would go to like a shared pool or something like that.
Right.
I'm not sure what we thought that. I remember there were lots of debates about that. I forgot about that totally, of course, until looking at the old podcast about that notes, which is why these are useful. You know, you look at this 2.5 years ago, what we were all going crazy about, and we were all assuming, okay, you know, so like you'll have 100 Paragon points on your Demon Hunter, and like 50 of those will share to some new character, and they can build up their own, and also, which would have been like really complicated and unworkable, and Wyatt Chang's grandmother would have hated it. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of what you're saying now. That imagine if it was like partially shared, but that's just I don't see how that would ever work. It just seems like that was the idea we had.
Right.
Yeah, no, I just wish it wasn't shared at all. I wish you could still go as high as you wanted to go, still unlimited, but you only got it on that one character you were playing on.
Yeah. If only they did, again, this is another one of those things that, you know, we constantly wish about on the show. Like, what if they did season mutations, you know, and it was like, this season, you don't get shared Paragon. You've got to freaking stick with your character, you know?
Well, that is a way that they could experiment with it, that's for sure. We talked about that before. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But we'd see. I don't know. It would take a serious de-evolution of the game creation process for that to happen. They'd have to be running out of stuff to do.
To bring back Jay Wilson for that. And I was thinking it wouldn't make that much difference because I'm only playing Demon Hunter, so I'm like, oh yeah, I died this season in hardcore at like Paragon 450, so you know, right. I would have nothing now.
That would take the
like I'm at like 750 now, which of course is like 10 times 450 with the stupid way the system works, but yeah, I mean that's obviously the thing that's made a huge difference for hardcore. I mean, Xanth used to talk about that all the time about, you know, how much shared Paragon points and shared gear makes a difference for hardcore, where you're not starting over from scratch when you die. Mm-hmm. You get back to 70 and you're instantly back to the same level you always were before, so. Or even before then, you know, you have 500 Paragon points at level 1, makes it ridiculous.
Yeah, that would totally like. Yeah, I mean, I that would hurt hardcore as well, but I still, at the same time, I think hardcore would be more meaningful if it was that way too.
Can I just say, I feel like maybe Paragon is just what's busted. Like maybe this game would be better without Paragon. And that's a crazy thing to say, but maybe it would.
Because that's like 90% of the grind. But
right?
No.
Like, you know, and it's not like there's not power enough in the game. You know, I mean, for God's sake, the power creep on items is incredibly real. You know, so do we need Paragon anymore? Like,
I like it.
It makes more problems than it solves.
It is a linear sense of progression. I do like it for that reason. It feels like as you're playing the game, even if you're not getting any drops, it's like have you ever played Warcraft tier?
Oh, God, yes.
It's like Valor and Justice Points. It's a consolation prize. At the very least, you got something for your effort for playing the last 2 hours. That's how I look at it, and I'm okay with it that way. I do wish it was single, you know, only on one character, but I'm not really complaining either way. I still like the system. It's just there's definitely issues with it that need to be looked at. But man, I kind of I can't believe that was. Sometimes it's hard or easy to forget that we didn't have shared Paragons the whole time because, man.
We didn't have Paragons the whole time.
Yeah.
Much less shared.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
we had no end game initially.
I remember an article specifically when Paragon was launched, where I think it was like an IGN or something, the guy was in disbelief that you had this system that you could level up post the level. You had leveling, and then you could level beyond the level. And then there was another follow-up article later on when they made Paragon limitless, where it was like, you can level forever? What is this, and
we had big debates about that before the game launched.
Yeah.
If you don't even get, because Diablo 2 changed a lot. At some points, it was incredibly hard. Remember Diablo 2 Classic? Go look up Rust Barb and Gerbarb.
Yeah.
And there were these teams of players who spent like months to go from like level 90 to 99. Literally playing like 16 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
The only experience you could get past like 91 was from killing Diablo on Hell.
Yeah.
And so they would have two different teams going at the same time, clearing everything in the game up to Diablo and almost killing him. And the one main character would join that game, just get the last kill on Diablo, join the next game immediately that was already readied.
Yeah.
And like they had like a 20-person support staff who was just going all day.
Well,
making all
and
these
that's
games
because they
just
didn't
for
get
Diablo.
experience from anything in Act 4 aside from Diablo.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing. It was just
Ridiculous.
having 40 people to ready this game. Like the whole world was your fluffers,
Yeah.
Like your Kanye West at a Victoria's Secret concert. It's just fluffers everywhere. And that was forever. And then of course at times in Diablo 2 you could hit max level in like 7 hours.
It's so great
and they kept changing it between patches. And now we have this system in D3 you can hit max level in about 4 minutes.
So great watching.
But then of course your Paragon levels go forever.
It's just so delectable. Where it's just like, oh, so you just you didn't get a degree. You did this. Like, good job, I guess. Part of me just wants to watch.
So what if there was a max level now? We were just mentioning that a second ago, but the next podcast up was I don't even know what number it is, 104 or something, and it was a live stream where Xanth got to Paragon 100 with his Witch Doctor, and I was basically carrying him with my it was like 83 and my monk at some point.
Yeah.
And then I died that monk at like 94 on a timeout, so I actually never got a Paragon 100. Pretty sad. But anyway, that was back when we had a max level, and you were just saying a minute ago, Nerdwards, you played a ton once you were already a Paragon 100.
Yeah.
But what if we had a max level now? We mentioned that for greater rifts. What if Paragon 1000 was it?
Then I think that would be.
Would that discourage botting? Would people have more accounts?
And people would still bot to get mats and get keys and stuff for sure, but it would make the impact of botting less. I would say.
Yeah, no, I don't think it affects botting specifically so much as it affects the use of botting in regards to high-level play.
I think that the problem and the reason why they won't do that is because that's all it affects. It doesn't actually affect the game positively to do that, aside from just like whether you prefer it or don't prefer it. But
right,
yeah,
and there's a balancing act there too, because you're dealing with an aging but an aging player base who probably more and more are folks who are playing at that higher level. If you're still committed to this game and you're people like us, odds are you care more about leaderboard rankings, than your average bear when Reaper of Souls launched and a whole bunch of people were just around playing the game and trying it out.
I do think, though, that I want to see some stats on that because I do feel like that the last couple of seasons have gotten bigger and bigger with more new players coming back, and I think that that's kind of their target goal, and I think it's succeeding.
Yeah, I would love numbers on that. We can't really say for sure. But still, I think if you're sticking around in this game now, you kind of probably know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, then this Paragon stuff probably does affect you. You do probably, maybe you're not offended about it, like sometimes we get here on the show, but maybe you're actually, you just look at the leaderboards. You log in and look at the leaderboards, and you're like, well, I'll never do that. And then you go back to playing the way you play or whatever.
Oh man,
but it might bother
insane to
you
look at them right now.
Yeah, so, and I have that problem too. I've almost given up on them at this point. Like I just I can't commit that much to do it. But I
want to wait and see what I can do because I know that I've complained about Paragon levels before, but still been able to clear and get in the top 100 or top however many. But this season, man, it's crazy. Like. Mm-hmm.
Paragon 2500 in softcore already?
Yeah, dog out there, man.
Number one wizard right now. Hang on, I'll pull it up. 2,171.
Yeah.
He's had like 7 hours.
No, that was non-season. His seasonal is 2,391.
Well, and
here's look at his playtime. He's had like 7 hours of total downtime since the season started, right?
Here's what gives me hope on that.
Cat naps.
There have been, I believe Blizzard will address this at some point. I don't know when they decide that it's a big enough priority that they do it, but I think it will happen. The reason I say that is there have been instances in other games where they have felt the need to apply, game changes to allow for catch-up mechanics because the player base they felt like was falling behind some of the most dedicated players. World of Warcraft didn't used to have catch-up mechanics on stuff, and they have routinely instituted stuff like that when they felt it was necessary, say at the end of an expansion when everybody's geared to the nines. So they have a history of addressing those issues, and I'm kind of surprised it hasn't happened earlier, with how things have been going.
Soon.
Yeah, TM.
Unironically. Okay, actually, ironically. Next interesting thing was like 2 podcasts later. Like I said, there's like something every minute in 2013. Reaper of Souls revealed at Gamescom, podcast 107 and 108. We're not going to go over all the details at this point, obviously, but it was a very different game then. We knew about it. Remember the whole melting ice thing? Or was that Diablo 2 reveal?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was Diablo 2. Yeah, they had some whole splash thing on Blizzard's page, and it was like we knew it was called Reaper of Souls, and we knew the expansion was going to be announced a few days beforehand, so it wasn't like a real surprise. But obviously the details were a surprise, and nobody knew anything about the Crusader was going to be the character in it.
Right.
Do you recall what Nephalem Rifts were initially called?
Was that the cursed thing?
No.
No, I don't know then.
They were called loot runs.
Really?
That's what they announced the feature as at Gamescom. They were called loot runs.
That's pretty great.
Which really pretty much gets to the heart of things, doesn't it?
Right. Can we have a little bit more of that, please? If there's a instead of clicking like bounties, you just click the grind, and then you play. I don't know. You
need like a really short term that tells you exactly what it is. It's like there's no marketing involved in this. Loot runs. They could have called them like randomized short-term dungeons. Okay, too many words. Loot runs. And of course, Nephalem Rifts means nothing at all, but that's what they went with. And then like the next podcast after that, they announced the console. Mm-hmm. The console was out, but they announced the console was going to redo everything and have Loot 1.5 for the console.
Right.
And that was, of course, the first version of Smart Loot, which they didn't actually... I may be grandiose in my memories. I think I actually invented the term Loot 1.5, and they never actually called it that until I started saying it on the podcast and the website. And then they started calling it Loot 1.5 an actual official thing. I'm sure, obviously it's not the most original thought in the world, so maybe that was what... But I'm pretty sure I remember at one point, like, they'd never said that, so they were saying it. Now, someone on the podcast like, did they get that from you? I'm like, I don't know, who knows? I invent words sometimes. Anyway, you played a lot of console Nerdwards back in the day.
Yeah, I still play it every now and then. Do
you feel that that was what Joss Mosquera joined Blizzard to work on. He was the initial head of the Diablo 3 console project. Mm-hmm. That was back when Jay Wilson was still there, guarding the princess in the castle. And, they were not making that many changes in D3, Paragon Points and some minor stuff. But, the big changes really started off on the console. And they were able to kind of use it as a test run with Loot 1.5 and with some other new features that came out later, Smart Loot and stuff. And then, of course, Josh ended up running the whole game project. So obviously they thought the console worked out pretty well. Do you recall, the initial console and how it differed from the PC game at that point?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was night and day. I remember playing the console version, like I got it release night and took it home and played it and popped it in. I had a couple of friends with me, too. And it was like... it didn't feel like... I mean, I was playing Diablo, but it felt more like I was playing Gauntlet Legends. It felt more like I was playing Champions of Norath, like from back in the day. Like, it felt like a classic dungeon crawl. No, exactly.
Dark Alliance,
Exactly. And it was like... And then it made me re-look at Diablo 3. Like, I've been playing this game and, like, using the auction house, doing all this stuff for so long that it kind of diluted what the Diablo experience was. And then playing the console, God, I feel like a goddamn commercial right now, but it's the truth. Like, I played the console and it made me go, oh, that's right, this is fucking Diablo. That's what this is supposed to be. So, It worked out really, really nice. It was so much fun. And just, like, it got me to play a different character for a second. Like, I played a barbarian for a minute, and then I switched to wizard. But, like, I've had, like, the direct controls, like, of your character using the left stick to actually move, like, it was really, really cool. And I played it first on 360, which was like the worst option to play it on, and it was still really good. And then I got it later for next gen system, and it was way better.
It is shocking how right they got that.
It is, man. It's easily the best PC to console game I've ever, or like transition I've ever seen, ever. And it was, and wildly successful too. Easily still to this day, anybody comes in, that is the game I recommend for like co-op play. Everyone's like, I want a co-op game, even if it's a guy and a girl, whatever. Like my girlfriend put 800 hours into a Demon Hunter on console. That's how good she plays Candy Crush, dude. Like that's insane. Like
it's an insanely addictive game, and that's
fun.
That iteration of it. I mean, come on, like they've been adding even just this past BlizzCon. You know, when they announced Season 5, they were like, and then we're adding this stuff from the console. And it's like, well, why did you do this earlier? Like, you knew that console port was good. You knew it. You know, everybody loved that crap. So, it's
well, they just had to
shocking.
find the right time and right way to implement it. And it came when they did all the other big changes, so it worked out.
Sure. I mean, we've got it, so I shouldn't get on their case too much about it.
But no, you're right, though.
I mean, like I said, they knew it, and it is crazy to me that in the history of a company like Blizzard, there's been a time when they made a console port that then informed the best way for them to make their flagship PC product. That never, ever happens. It was bizarre.
Yeah.
So you guys are both big fans of the console on the whole?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
great.
play it more than the PC version, but it's absolutely an awesome game, and it's the best. I mean, there's not another co-op game right now that's better. Like 4 players, you can sit down and play all day. Like you can grind it out, and if you don't know how to play like that kind of game at all, it's totally fine. It's really, really easy to pick up and easy to understand.
See, that was actually a rhetorical question, just setting up my next joke. So let me try it again and just give you a one-word answer.
Okay, gotcha.
So you guys are big fans of the console, right?
Yeah.
So do you think it was worth the whole console development limiting Diablo 3 to 6 skills back in the old days? Since there's only 6 buttons on a console controller?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Okay, now moving right along.
Off.
Aren't jokes great when you explain them beforehand?
Yes, they're the best.
And
best
after,
part.
yeah.
Even better.
And we're so complicit in your jokes.
I just ran over. See, I'll just go back and edit out the whole in-between part.
No.
For this next
and
joke, I'm going to say
like,
knock,
wait, what?
knock, and then you're going to say...
I'm going to say alligator later. Crocodile gator? What? I don't forget the words. Okay, next podcast of interest was like another, but like 2 shows later, 112.
Super quick.
Auction House Shutdown announced. September 2013.
There it is. That's the one.
Yep.
And obviously we've been talking about the Auction House a bunch over the course of the show.
Right.
And of course, there were all these debates at the time, as you said, Nerdwards, I was, a lot of people were doing what you were doing. I was doing what you were doing, playing, basically getting my good gear from that. Selling crap. We talked about the B Club on the last show.
Yeah.
The first we got in the B Club was selling, some big thing in the auction house. And that was, of course, only good because then you could spend the gold on other things in the auction house. And so, part and parcel of starting on the auction house was vastly increasing drop rates, which is kind of what they worked on with the whole Loot 1.5 on the console. Can we have the console, another major, obviously, factor of the console was no auction house and much higher drop rates and much better quality gear, no longer finding, quivers with strength on them and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, that's, and of course also that led to all the legendaries being bind on account, so you couldn't trade anymore, which is another big topic coming up in a little bit. But, if we talk about the auction house shutdown, how it changed the game, that's like an hour of the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I mean, just at the time, it was obviously big news, and no one had thought about it before. We figured the auction house was just what it was going to be forever. And then it was like just one day they were like, hey, by the way, the auction house is going to shut down in 4 months. Okay, thanks. You guys, I actually don't recall my reaction. I mean, I'm surprised I remember that much. You guys remember what you thought when you heard that?
I double-taked. I didn't believe it at first. I was like, what? I thought it was like a joke, and then I was like, wait. No, that's
April Fool's.
No,
right?
no. I made sure it was official Blizzard channel before. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, okay. Read the blog post. It was like, okay, interesting. Yeah. I was actually super stoked at first and did not realize how much I would miss the auction house in moments. I still think it was the best decision to remove the game, but I had good memories of the auction house for the most part.
I think my initial reaction was something along the lines of, man, the stones it took to get this guy in the meeting who was like, we're doing this, we have to do this. And I think I actually owe this moment probably my existence on this podcast is really only a thing because when I was initially talking to Flux, he brought in a bunch of, trials to chat about stuff. I don't know if this is too much inside baseball, but he asked me, if I were Blizzard, what would I tell Blizzard to do? If I could look back on their history and have them do a thing, and I would say just you needed to remove the auction house. I would remind you to do that thing that you decided to do because it was and I essentially gave this misty-eyed soliloquy on on Blizzard and how they needed to learn from their mistakes and yada yada yada, which I'll not attempt to repeat so much as to say, yeah, that was big. This is their big moment. Like, this is their shining moment, guys. Like,
you
when
did
they
it.
Finally were like, you did it, guys.
I believe in you.
I believed in you the whole time. You finally did it. So this was huge. It can't be understated. What an impact that had on the game.
It was a big deal, and it was like it was exactly what you said. It was the Stones, man. Like that, whoever it was that had to be that guy.
It was Josh, according to their.
Yeah, that's right.
History.
It was Josh. Yeah. He
said they were in a meeting with everybody, and they said, "What should we make a change?" And he was just like,
"Remove it."
I think we should on the auction house, and they were like, "What?" Like Mike Moore and everybody was in the meeting, and apparently, like according to what they've said, like in an hour of discussion, everyone agreed. They're like, "Yeah, you're right." And they don't really tell us what the discussion was. I've always assumed that they must have been having a lot less profit from the auction house, the real money auction house, than they had hoped to.
Sure.
Because we always assumed that was like the long-term financial support for Diablo 3.
Yeah, and that was the concept.
They were taking, what was it, 5 or 10% of every sale or something like that? Or was it like 20%? It was a lot.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm totally wrong, and it was a wild financial success, and they didn't care, but we always just kind of assumed that it was like trailing off. People weren't using it. They were using black market sites instead. They kept going to lift the gold cap so much. Mm-hmm. Like initially it was like 100,000, then it was 100 million, then it was 1 billion gold.
Yep.
I mean, to actually buy gold with money. They kept raising that amount.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of assuming that the auction house was failing, and it was like not a hard decision to get rid of it on that case. But of course, as you say, it took a lot of guts to totally change it, and to vastly increase the drop rates and really make the game back to, a gaming experience instead of a third-party auction house experience.
Well, and let's not forget, too, that it's not just a game development or game design decision. They had to build, when they initially set up Diablo 3, they had to build infrastructure, in other countries to handle payments, to handle filing taxes, like to make sure.
And they never got it done, like in Korea.
Right?
Stuff,
Yeah.
Legal issues.
This was a massive undertaking for them. And this decision, when whatever happened in the annals of, the Blizzard legend that, Josh got up and said we need to do this, that meant that people lost their jobs. Mm-hmm. that meant a lot of real stuff. So even more so, like that's a hard decision to make.
Yeah, they had their big boy pants on when they made that one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recall, we had just gotten commas in the auction house too.
Yeah, like
we waited
right before.
like 2 years to get commas.
Oh, I do remember that. I remember
and
you
they had finally gotten commas in there, and it was like, oh, now it's gone.
That was before I was on the podcast, and I think I remember. Wait, was that before? I'm pretty sure that was before. Yeah, it was.
Well, they hadn't invented a punctuation before you were here. That's how long ago.
Yeah, because I'm really ancient.
Yeah, we're getting up to your first appearance here in a little while.
Oh,
it was a big
excuse me. I need to get ready.
Yeah, so as I suspected, this is taking like 5 minutes per show. We're like we've got like 12 shows.
Yeah, right.
One of the other another next one up was 116. We're only going to 125 here, so we're almost done. 116 was when they announced big changes coming to difficulty level, and at that point in the game, we still had normal, nightmare, hell, and inferno.
Yeah.
Leading up to Reaper of Souls, and we were still having to repeat the same stupid thing 4 times. No adventure mode. And people were so sick of this. I remember doing this like impassioned plea, talking to the guys at BlizzCon one year, saying, "Can we get rid of hell difficulty at least? It is so boring to get to like level 52 in Nightmare, and then you got to go do all of hell. You level up 7 times in 4 acts.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit. Then you're finally in Inferno, and they were just like, well, we're going to make bigger changes. We can't talk about it yet.
Yeah.
So shed a tear for 4 repeated difficulty levels, the same thing over and over again forever. That was just like Diablo 2.
Can I say that this is one of the things that I actually have nostalgia for? Maybe it's just those names, but I almost wish that they just built the difficulties, so that they were just a leveling thing. They weren't Inferno's your end game or whatever. But I'm bummed that we're now in Torment. Torment just doesn't sound as cool. And I remember playing through D2, and it was great. Getting into it.
Now you're in hell.
Yeah, it's like, now you're in hell. And I was like, oh, this is cool. There's a fun, like, kind of meta fantasy to that, Well,
now you're in Torment.
And I know this is
You said you were married, right? You should know about that.
Yeah, I know a bit about that, But yeah, it's just, I'm a little sad. I want Inferno, but I want them to just name Torment Inferno. Can we do that?
Inferno 1 through 10?
Yeah.
They just need to make Torment, or normal difficulty through Torment 3 is normal, and they need to do Torment 4 through Torment 8 can be nightmare, and then 9 and 10 just make it hell. Easy. Done.
Sure. Yeah.
Don't need all these damn difficulties anymore.
And then we have greater rifts that are 1,000 difficulties.
Or you just
incrementally
change the name
slicing.
Greater Rift to Inferno. What? I'm in Inferno 45. What do you know?
There you go.
Inferno 45. It sounds like a punk metal band from the 50s.
Exactly. Fahrenheit 451.
There you go.
Yeah, one other thing this reminded me of is back during the early days of Diablo 3 development, back when Bashiak was the community manager, people would always get like rose-tinted glasses about how great something in Diablo 2 was. And I remember Bashiak repeatedly saying, you guys remember what Diablo 2 was like after like 7 years of patches and everything being improved and fixed and changed over time? And you look at something like how recently we had goddamn, Inferno difficulty instead of Inferno 1 through 10 like it should be called or whatever.
Yeah.
And now everyone's like, yeah, that really is true. We were comparing the very earliest versions of D3. Before we had Smart Loot, before we had anything, we had an auction house, we had full repeating difficulty levels. Everything you can think of. No in-game system, no Paragon Points, etc. Okay, some of those things are probably not necessarily improvements. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we were comparing the very early version of the game to what was, Diablo 2 was vastly improved over many, many years of patches. I mean, you compare Reaper of Souls now to what we got at launch.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people always did that, and it wasn't D2 that was ever really that good. It was LOD that was really that good.
Yeah. Well,
and LOD after 7 years of
patches.
patches.
It took forever. Yeah.
Yeah, and this
and I still loved
LOD.
it all the way through. I played from D2 vanilla. It was the same way with this one. Like, I still played it. Like, everyone bitched and moaned about it. But honestly, I mean, there were a lot of Diablo players that weren't a fan, but I think that the free WoW subscription, or like the year of WoW subscribers getting Diablo did not help the people screaming on the forums. I felt like that created more of a ruckus.
Right. Yeah.
You said ruckus.
But no,
I did say ruckus.
These,
if anybody's playing the drinking game at home, that was your magic.
There you go, guys.
You
win. You're welcome.
Yeah, as we go through these podcast episodes, like this is it. This is this is Lords of Destruction, but for D3. Like this is the game pupating. Yep. Like it is becoming the game it will be, which is just such a better game than it was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, not to risk alcohol poisoning, but pupate is word number 2 for tonight. You're doing shots at home.
You won again.
You can have a pupating ruckus, and you're pretty much hammered right now.
We just Wilsoned it.
Exactly. You took it to the next level. Okay, we're almost done here. Next one up, very shortly after that, BlizzCon 2013. It was like, God, every week there was some other huge news.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can do more podcasts that summer. And at BlizzCon 2013, I did some live recordings with Nineball and Rankill. I haven't heard from Rankill in forever. I'm not sure what he's up to, but, God bless, etc. I think Nineball's been captured by ISIS, judging by his appearance the last time I saw him. He's still around somewhere. I see him on my friends list every now and then. But they were at the show that year, and we did live interviews on my cell phone. Which a year later, I did that with Nerdwards and somebody else actually. Also, I remember we were sitting in the hallway up on the second level, and Wyatt Chang walked by. Right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
There was like a parade of cosplayers.
Yeah, I remember harassing the cosplayers. Yes.
And then we were sitting there talking into my smartphone, recording it for the MP3, and Wyatt Chang walks by. We're like, Wyatt, yay! And he ran over and gave us kisses. I don't remember exactly. It might have happened. Anyway. BlizzCon, obviously, was when we got a playable demo after it debuted at Gamescom a couple of months before then, and we got to play the Crusader for the first time and got to play Adventure Mode, and Nephalem Rifts, and Bounties were just in the game, and I recall having a lot of fun playing that demo.
Mm-hmm.
Nerdwards, are you like me? Have you not played a Crusader since then?
No, actually. I did level... If you look at my account, I have all Wizards, 1 level 70 Crusader from Season 3... From one of the seasons.
So you waited 18 months and then you played a Crusader.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't played one since, so you're ahead of me.
Yeah, I played a Crusader. I enjoyed it too, but it was before any of the cool stuff. No. It was Season 1 or 2 because it was before like they had a really good... It was when Firebirds was still relevant for a Wizard back in Season 1 or 2, I believe.
Man, yeah, what were you running? Like a Vacuum Crusader back then?
No, I was running that old school... Blessed Hammer fire build, or not Blessed Hammer, not what was the Fist of the Heavens fire build, where you would you'd pop a Cons or Akras champion and you just spam that damn fire Fist of the Heavens.
You could have ended that sentence with "you'd pop a cons," because that was the essential. Like, that was that was Crusader gameplay for basically from seasons 0 up until about season 3. That was Crusaders. Was just pop a cons, you know.
Why? I was about to say that sounds like a restaurant.
That's the pizza place that the Peyton Manning does commercials for, right?
Meet me down at Papa Khan's.
Get some Papa Khan's pizza. So, do you recall? Have you been ever to any Pugacorn? Have you ever been to any BlizzCons? Do you recall at least the announcement of Reaper of Souls and excitement back in those days?
Oh yeah, if I try to place myself, I believe that I was at my desk watching the opening ceremonies for that BlizzCon when I worked at a realty company, and I was watching it on their computer.
Hard at work, huh?
Hard at
Hard
work.
at work, yeah.
You know, and I think I even I was probably drinking a Slurpee. Like it was a bad scene, but no, I remember being very excited about it. I mean, this was I had loved D3 since it launched, but I had fallen off. You know, I played up into Inferno. You know, I was getting into the beginning of Act 4 Inferno on my bar, and the difficulty level got crushing, you know, back in vanilla, even at the end there. And I was just like,
that would be a good name for difficulties, wouldn't it?
Right.
Instead of Inferno, they could just call it crushing.
I didn't want to do it, you know, so I was taking a break from the game, and I remember watching their coverage of this, and I was like, this looks killer. And I think probably what stood out most to me was the introduction of the Crusaders. I looked at the Crusader, you know, they had that great shot of art for the concept art for the Crusader, where, you know, he's walking over a pile of stuff. You know, he's got this gigantic shield that's the size of him, you know, and there's this glowing light behind him. And I looked down into his hand, and I was like, that's a flail. That's got chains and a ball at the end of it.
Yeah.
They're doing flails?
That was a really cool element to the reveal, yeah.
Nobody ever does flails. It's not a thing that is well done in games. And so I was so excited to see that. Mm-hmm. I've mained Crusaders pretty much ever since.
Yeah, so did you play him in the game? And obviously the answer is yes.
Oh yeah. I still
just like the look and then not like the play style.
Well, that's the thing. I think they've got one of the strongest, and they've all got great fantasy in this game, but I think they have one of the strongest fantasies in this game. That was one of the things that they definitely did right with Crusader.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nineball. Inside joke there. Okay, so ridiculously enough, a week later, Reaper of Souls beta begins. It's there were 4 months and we had 20 podcasts. Every one of them is newsworthy 2 years later.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So November of 2013, 2 weeks after BlizzCon, there was when the ROS beta began. And as I recall, it was pretty easy to get into. We had everybody on the podcast in it in 2 weeks. And so the next 6 podcasts were beta, you know, discussing all this, you know, adventure mode and testing out stuff. And my clearest memory of being in the beta was doing the bounties when they were first in there and trying the ones in Act 5, and you would spend an hour on 2 bounties in Act 5.
Yeah.
There were no arrows pointing you anywhere. You would you would get one in the Westmarch Commons, and there's 17 sellers in town.
And you knew Acts 1 through 4 like the back of your hand, 'cause you played it for 1,000 hours leading up to Reaper of Souls.
And Act 5 had these gigantic levels, and they were no arrows pointing, and half the bounties were bugged at the start. So you'd finally find the right place, and it wouldn't work, and you'd be like, oh, God damn it. I remember running around that frickin' swamp for an hour one day trying to find some cave, and it wasn't there. The entire swamp. I swear they were even bigger back in the early version of it, but now you only see them in tile sets, and they're actually not bad in the tile sets in the in Rifts. But
yeah.
Do you guys recall getting into the Reaper of Souls beta? Were you playing it?
I did not play the beta.
You're such a noob, dude.
I know. I didn't have podcaster status then, bro. I wouldn't get my streamer buff.
I think everybody got it. I don't think it was hard to get the beta.
I think I avoided it, actually, because I played the Diablo 3 vanilla beta, and I was done. I did not want to play another beta. Because that was the worst beta.
You're tired of the Skeleton King?
Oh, my God. It wasn't even... It was just here's a demo of the game you can play. It was like when you go to, PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live and download a demo for a game. It was like that for, 4 months or whatever, and it was just
people were paying money to get in it,
what
too.
the fuck is this?
And I loved it. I loved every cotton picking minute of it.
I mean, I liked playing it, but
so many times.
But think about what that didn't test, which was fucking anything.
Everything.
It was the most pointless. It was hey, you could try this game out and see if you like it. And it was yeah, it was cool, and I played it a lot, way more than anyone should have, because there was no point in playing it more than we did. Oh, it was dumb. But yeah. I didn't play the.
Did you get the Reaper of Souls beta, Pugacorn?
I did. I got in late in the beta. Like I said, I was kind of taking a break, and I remember a lot of people talking about it at the time, and I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. And I immediately thought it was a huge improvement. But then I decided to save myself a little bit for when it actually launched, because I was excited. I was also raiding way too much in World of Warcraft at the time.
I'd say any amount of raiding is too much in World of Warcraft, but I might be biased on that.
Uh-huh.
One of the big differences in the Reaper of Souls beta was what you guys just mentioned. It was the entire act. It wasn't just like up to Magda or something.
Yeah, it was the whole
first
act.
minute of whatever. It was the whole thing. It was all the features. It was all the new stuff. It was the Crusader, and that was definitely a lesson that the developers said they learned from the Diablo 3 beta. Was that put enough in there that people actually test it.
Yeah.
You can actually get meaningful feedback from your beta testers, and not just on the Skeleton King's, ball sack animation, but like everything.
I can understand it.
I think it probably helped.
Because it's like the amount of stuff that you build in a game, like the big key things are really like, okay, do I have character control? Like, can I move my character? Do my moves come out properly? How does the networking work? Like, that really is, when you think about the amount of content
that was the D3 beta,
for building a game, that's probably 80 to 90% of it, and the rest of it you're talking about is just scripting and then the end game stuff, I would argue, is probably the most important bit that they didn't get to test. But yeah, they tested more than you'd think. Because, that was a game started from scratch, so they had to make sure that everything, even down to the most basic stuff, worked.
Yeah.
And as the last half hour of this podcast demonstrates, obviously they added a lot of stuff to Reaper of Souls after the beta. I mean, everything we've been talking about, Paragon mode, Paragon and Nephalem Rifts being improved, and all the drop rates and every patch. Remember, there were so many changes in the patches. There was like one good set for each class at the start.
Yep.
I mean, we've gotten so much more diversity. I mean, there's actually at least 4 different builds per class. Just the sets. Obviously, you can do stuff with Legacy of Nightmares builds also. And you're not GR85 and all this stuff, right? But
yeah,
I mean, you can do T10 in probably every build in the game now, every decent build, set build.
Yeah, the best
back then there was like
ever.
one for each. It was nothing. So,
but yeah, the best patch note ever. Resplendent chests are now much more resplendent.
Yeah.
I love that. That makes me smile every time.
That's almost the third shot word, but I'll pass on that one because resplendent's pretty close, but it's not going to quite be enough.
No, okay. Well, I'll pick it up. I'll try Ursine or something next time.
What are you, a druid? So, any final thoughts? I mean, that's up to 124. 125 is a lot more beta stuff, and obviously we've covered, these are dragging on. I went through 150 at work today. I had a little time in the morning, so next podcast we can go to a little more.
Yeah.
And then it gets kind of pointless because we're only like 6 months ago, and it's like, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Can we not go over this again?
Yeah. So yeah, and plus we did a year in review show 2 months ago where we kind of talked about like the last 25 or 30 podcasts of content anyway. So, but yeah, we're still back over 2 years ago on these, so almost 2 years ago. So obviously it's been a long. God, I'm going to sound like I'm totally summing up a really bad documentary. It's been a long and winding road, but we've on this journey together. Like Morgan Freeman. So Andy Dufresne is subject to my narrative here. Anyway. Obviously, it's been a while since this stuff came out. It's interesting to review stuff. And,
it's really cool to go back and
final thoughts.
Yeah, it's really cool to look at this. I mean, it's cool to see the evolution of the game, but to go back and think about stuff like the auction house and shared Paragon and non-shared Paragon and kind of just go over all stuff. It's also kind of nice to revisit it and kind of see, now after we've had some time with it, how we feel about it as opposed to when it first got announced. So, I think it's really cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it gives you a real appreciation for how the game has evolved and why we still like it. And also for the number of times that Flux puts an F in front of the word "the" on his podcast posts. Anyway, no, I think it's great. I love going back and reminiscing over this stuff. Like, as gamers, we spend a lot of our time with our rose-colored glasses on. So when someone gives us a legitimate excuse to do it, it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And they actually are rose-tinted. I was looking at this list earlier today. Are any of these changes anything I really disagree with or wish they hadn't done? And we're getting to some of those and some coming up later, like the removal of Magic Find and some other stuff that was kind of a, you can argue it either way in some points, but I'm sure there's probably still some auction house fans out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were talking about, people often say, I wish we still had trading or what would the currency be? But, kind of the whole part and parcel of shutting down the auction house was boosting drop rates and making things... obviously, so you can't just trade everything. Otherwise, you think of how easily you could cure out anybody else. With just, you play for half an hour, you throw away 5 complete item sets for your character because the stats aren't quite good enough.
Yeah.
So,
right.
I don't really see how trading could work in this game at this point. What would you trade for? What would you not want to trade for with drop? And of course, we could have trading, but they'd have to cut the drop rates by 500% less or something. And would that be fun? Would that be an improvement? I mean,
you get the same problem where you circumvent the essential gameplay loop, which is you start with nothing and you get stuff as you go. And so if you start with nothing and then 2 seconds into that nothing, someone comes in and drops an entire epic set for you, then
it's Diablo 2.
Yeah, then there's no loop. There's an A and a B, and the A and the B are like right next to each other. Was that too tough for you? That was a little more.
I was trying to make a circumcise the loop joke.
I was waiting on the wit.
All right, well, points for effort.
I couldn't find a way to fit it in there. Okay, so final thoughts, guys. I mean, we got a ways to go in the season. We got 2 weeks until the big anniversary buff. They're not.
I'm excited to get moved into my new place and sit down and play the crap out of some Diablo for the last month or so of the season. I'm stoked.
Yeah. Oh, and I will say I love that they're putting more Diablo stuff into Heroes of the Storm. I'm sure you guys mentioned that on prior podcasts, but that's great too.
Yes.
This game's got great flavor. They should use it.
It's great now that we're actually getting Diablo 3 content as well. And it's not just all the best Diablo 3 content is in some other game.
I still don't want to talk about the Heroes Wizard.
No.
Getting Arcane Orb, which actually
Shut up, I don't talk about it.
How there's actually a ranged attack that's functional for a wizard.
It's so cool!
How salty do you think people are, too, that their favorite class from D2, Necromancer, is available?
Just go read the forums.
Oh, the salt.
Yeah, we did a podcast about a couple months ago about that. No one cared that much. I should have gotten a Necromancer fan.
Oh, well, yeah, you should have gotten me. I love the crap out of those guys.
Well, we put a note up, but they all have their hair across their eyes, and they're all wearing too much black to be able to read the monitor.
They're channeling their inner goth princess right now, so...
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of hot topic
all
jokes
listening to My Chemical Romance on vinyl.
Exactly.
The mom's basement get really, really hot in the summer, so maybe we'll get them to come out by then.
They're busy. They're busy trying to. And anyway, you've only got you got 8 set dungeons down and only 647 to go. So you're pretty much all the way there, dude. That's your next week and a half of your life misery,
right? Especially once they announce, we're ending this thing, and then I have to go into a panicked fury to complete the rest. Otherwise, that's time wasted.
And as one of you guys mentioned earlier, probably going to get some PTR news here in the not-too-distant future, and new stuff will be happening. So we will hopefully have additional podcast content. I guess we'll do a little more review next show, probably go up to like 150 on the podcast. That gets getting us into, what would the date on that one be? That will be, getting up to the end of 2014, early 2015.
Oh, so I will have existed by then. Yes.
Oh,
it will.
Man, we're not going to get to the point where I exist. That's sad.
Yeah, I have a little note here. Nerdwards' first appearance, number 144.
Yeah, mark it on your damn list, son.
And the Wizard Downward Spiral.
Nice. Your first appearance is on the square, what do you call it, the square of 12. So, yeah.
That is my entire note for that show.
I guess.
I will quote, Nerdwards' first appearance, the Wizard Downward Spiral begins. That's my note for the show, so we'll move right along from that. Anyway, thanks for your time, guys, and enjoy your grinding. You have lots of set dungeons waiting for you, and they're just ready to be played. And you have been listening to the Diablo 3 podcast. We are online at diabloii.net, and this is the part where we circumscribe the ancient bovines.
Moo. Moo.
Moo. Moo.
Okay, stop.
I like the question mark moo at the end. Moo?
Yeah.